and they've gotten themselves in a place where it's a friendship, you know, a pat on the back, a little kiss on the cheek, but there's not that aliveness anymore. And oftentimes we're told, well, that's what you're supposed to expect after a period of time. Because it isn't about time, it's about triggers and knowing those really are. And the other thing we just want you to know is this is really about how to be happy. Because, you know, so many people in life have these dreams and goals, and then they get them and they're unhappy. And when you travel around the world, here's what you find. I don't care what background people have, what their religious belief is, what level of success or challenge they have in their life. People want happiness. They want joy. They want to feel good about their life. They want a sense of meaning, that there's love and passion there. That maybe there's something in your life that you've done that you know has made a difference for someone you love. Nothing feels greater than that. And also knowing someone loves you so much, they're so passionate for you, that your life has a different level of meaning. But as important as this area is, for most people, this is the area they master the least. Most of us run to work, or we run to business, or shaping our bodies or our kids because it's safer and we have control. But this is an area that if you take charge of yourself, and if you understand the dynamics of men and women in relationship, you can make changes in minutes that maybe you've tried to make for years and really not been able to experience. Our goal is to give you the resources to take whatever you've been talking about, whatever you've been dreaming about, or as great as your relationship is, to the next level, where love and passion is a daily experience. So we thank you, and we're going to begin this process.
Thank you for joining us. Maybe one day we'll meet you personally at a program, but until then, God bless.
Just stay on the line, and pretty soon you'll meet Jen and Paul, and you'll see what it's like to be able to come back from the edge. God bless, and we'll look forward to meeting you soon.
Live with passion and love.
And love.
I'm sick, I'm fed up with feeling this way. It's unfair to her.
And Sage.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Listen, we just want to reach out this week and remind you what you already know, and that is no matter how stressful your life can be, whether it be the economy or kids or your business, ultimately what makes you feel alive is love. Love and passion together.
We're incredibly passionate about this subject, and you know, love is something that you certainly just don't take for granted, and something that you consciously create every moment, every day of your life. And we're proud to say that we have 12 beautiful years together. Yeah. So we're just here to share some fun tidbits with you.
So it's actually our 12th anniversary, and one of the things that we found is we meet couples, and very often people say, you guys seem like, you know, you're newlyweds, or they'll ask us, did you guys just get married, which we're really proud of after 12 years. But it's not a matter of time that makes that difference. If you're single, one of the reasons that people find themselves in a relationship that they're unhappy with is they're filtering today's relationship through the past. And one of the things that we've done for anybody we're going to help is get you to clear the decks of the past and step into who you're with right here and right now. That can start to create a difference. Because in the beginning of a relationship, what were you willing to do for that person? Anything, right? Anything, whatever it takes. Now after a few months or a few weeks or a few years, all of a sudden you're saying, you know, would you take out the trash? And in the beginning you're like, whatever you want, the trash, I'm happy to do it for you. Now it's like, you know, what do I look like, your janitor? So learning how to be able to create that aliveness again and not filter your partner through an old story is one of the most important things you can do to have a passionate relationship.
It's true, in that, you know, the love and the passion, that intimacy happens in this moment. And this moment that's transpiring right now is the only thing that's real. So giving your partner the gift of living in today and living in this moment and creating something that's magical and beautiful from this place, there's no greater gift.
I also think that if you think about it in the very beginning of a relationship, the very things you're most attracted to, very often when the relationship goes bad, you reject the things that you loved. You know, in the beginning you may have been very, you know, enticed by this person because they seem very mysterious and quiet, and now you're pissed off that they're quiet all the time. Or in the beginning you thought, wow, I love them because they had so much energy and passion, they just took over the room, and now you're like, why do they have to talk all the damn time? You know, don't they ever shut up? One of the things that happens in relationships is if we don't realize that what we're attracted to in the other person that we think is so different than us is just another part of ourselves that we're not actively utilizing. And if you don't use your partner to trigger that awakening inside yourself, eventually you resent them because you resent that a part of yourself is being shut down.
And I think you both have, you know, certainly when we first met, there's little crazy pieces that drive each other crazy, but to shift those to actually appreciations. And one of the gifts we certainly give each other is, rather than having that irritation, to actually be humored and to be playful about it. So it just breaks the pattern and creates, you know, just brings an aliveness and a playfulness to the relationship.
You like the fact that my wife needs to have, you know, 9 hours of sleep and eat about every 15 minutes. It doesn't
the fact
bother me
that my
anymore.
husband only needs actually 4, and I beg him to go to bed at night. After 12 years, that's still something that transpires in our daily life of our relationship, me begging for sleep and food.
Yes, I know. But anyway, here's our point. if you want to have an extraordinary relationship, it really requires you to get outside of yourself. We all know that. When you really fall in love with somebody, it is really about what can I do for you versus what are you doing for me. The end of a relationship is when you're evaluating what they have done versus what you've done. If you've got a scorecard, you're on your way out. And that doesn't mean it can't be turned around. You know, the heavy of relationship can be eliminated when you step into that mode of giving. And interestingly enough, when people are attracted to each other, though, you don't have these problems. Because when people have that sense of attraction, that energy, that sensuality, that sexuality, what happens is you have filters. You laugh about things that you'd be upset about before. So all the research that we found and all in our own lives and literally the hundreds of thousands of couples we work with is we can tell you all these things we're talking about, but ultimately you need more passion. Because lots of couples actually have love, but they don't have the level of passion they want, and there's an emptiness, there's a missing energy in their life. And so for us, the secret is really to unleash that again. And so part of what we did on our 7th anniversary is we put together a program called the Ultimate Relationship Program, humbly titled, of course. But it really is the best of what we've learned working with hundreds of thousands of couples, literally, and taking couples from the place of the end to turning them around. Taking people that could never find the right relationship, that are single, saying, and all the good ones are gone, and showing them what was going on inside themselves, that when they change that, they're able to immediately get the relationship that they really want by becoming the kind of person that they're looking to attract in their life. Anyway, we created it. It's done on 8 DVD videos and 8 audios. And you can listen to one a week for 8 weeks, or you can listen to one a day, literally for 8 days if you're an immersion person like us. And we think you'll find it fun because it isn't just us talking and sharing with you what to do step by step to either create the relationship you want or revitalize a relationship. But it's really about love and passion and the little triggers that change it all. So I know sometimes it's like, will it really be valuable for me? So during Valentine's Day, we're doing a little special where you can try it risk-free for $15 for 30 days, literally $15. Listen to it, watch the whole thing, and if you don't like it, send it back. But we know it'll be life-changing for you because whether you're married or single, you're going to see real people in real life we're working with and watch the changes and then see what they're like a year later, 2 years later when we follow up to show the differences. So we're really proud of the program, and it seems like the ultimate Valentine's gift you could give yourself or somebody that you really love. But along the subject, though, the next few days we'll send you a few videos that we've done over the last few years with some triggers and some tools, just our little gift to you, whether you do this or not. But we hope you'll look at relationship as something you want to master, not just dabble in. It doesn't just come naturally. Great relationships don't interrupt you. They've got to be pursued. They've got to be created. They've got to be protected. And you've got to keep that passionate part alive. And for those of you that are worried about the economy, which many people are, an interesting study came out from the National Bureau of Economic Research, and they found out by a 2-year study throughout North America, people of all kinds of belief systems and backgrounds, that couples that were having regular sex, to them that was twice a week, that was the equivalent of a $100,000 increase in income in terms of happiness. Literally, couples that were stressed out, if they just increased their sex life, couples that went from once a month having sex to once a week having sex, it was the equivalent of $50,000 of additional income. So if you can't change your income real quick, you could do this a lot quicker. You could have the energy there real quicker. And then there's the health benefits.
There's so many health benefits. It was fun when we were exploring this, actually. There's one through CNN that they just did a recent study. And actually, having sex up to twice a week, it's equivalent of burning, ladies, 50 calories. And over a month's period of time, that's like a 7-mile run.
It's 3 times a week.
3 times a week, yes, 3 times a week.
Of course, the guy's going to point that out. But it's the equivalent of 7 miles of running.
Which is just extraordinary. So I don't know how many of you would rather, I don't know about me, but I'd certainly rather a bed over running shoes. So it also increases your immunity, your active target cells in the body up to 30%. So there's just so many, health benefits and gifts, never mind creating the intimacy and playfulness in a relationship.
For men, you have a 50% less chance of having a heart attack if you're having sex regularly twice a week.
That's amazing.
And by the way, this doesn't work the same for yourself. For those of you who are thinking creatively, and I don't want the complexity of a relationship, because there's the bond of love and passion. So most guys don't need any encouragement on this area. I think that somebody once said that women need a reason to have sex, men just need a place.
And also the gift of Valentine's Day, if you think about it, it's a day when, you put your focus on your lover and, you're romantic and the thoughtful notes and the kindness and the intimacy or the lighting the candles or going for dinner. All that, love doesn't just happen, and it's created by the magic of that awareness and giving each other that gift on a daily basis rather than just one day a year. Our hope for you is that you take this gift and you can implement even a few of these distinctions, that you can create that aliveness and that connectedness and have a loving life or in love life for a lifetime after 12 12 years for us, and many of you I know that are on this path, whether it's just in the beginning or, you know, after 40 years, love can be given and ignited in a moment, and same with passion.
Happy Valentine's Day. Hope we haven't overwhelmed you. We're just talking.
Sorry.
As you can see, this is off the script. This is how we operate. This is how we roll.
It is indeed.
Love to you. Wishing you the greatest blessings in your life. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy Valentine's Week, everybody. It's Tony.
Happy Valentine's Week, everybody. We love love, and we're here to just share some insights and tidbits with you for this week.
And this is my girl, Sage. My buddy, Pearl.
Hi.
Listen, you know, Valentine's Week is such a beautiful time because it makes people think about the one they love instead of all the busyness of their life. And we all know what's most important to us in a life is love and passion and aliveness. But unfortunately, that stuff gets set aside trying to schedule everything else in. We're even working here to do this little video, and they're in the background here waiting to continue some construction on the building next door. Just life keeps happening.
It does.
So our hope for you this week is that you decide to make it not just Valentine's Day or Valentine's Week, but that you decide there's going to be a part of you and a part of your partner in life, whether you found them or the one you're pursuing or the one you're already with, that you're going to start to cherish at a different level.
Absolutely.
And while that may sound corny, we've got some skills. We just spent some time in Hawaii for 7 days with our platinum partners, and we went deep. We were with couples that were absolutely gone. How would you describe some of them? Some of them totally in love, some of them over the top, but how would you describe the experience, honey?
It was, it's amazing to be able to take a relationship that truthfully doesn't feel that passion and doesn't feel that intimacy and that love, and in a moment to be able to decide something new. And that's what happened over and over and over again in Hawaii. And so you're going to be able to experience a taste of that. And we're just here to say that this weekend, Valentine's Week, remember, it's about waking up. It's about waking up to adoring your partner at such a different level and celebrating your partner. And, you know, it's crazy because on Valentine's Day, you know, we do so much that's romantic and that's thoughtful and that's creative and go out of our way. And it's about bringing that magic and that love and that thoughtfulness and that sincerity and waking up to your partner's needs at such a different level, because it really is in the little things that, you know, just create that depth of love.
It's also just deciding to set a stake in the ground,
Yes.
a standard for going forward, that this is not just Valentine's Day, but your life.
Absolutely.
You know, people get what they accept. People get what they tolerate in themselves and in each other. And most people in a relationship are thinking about what they're going to tolerate in the other person. But in our relationship, I think the beauty and the passion and all the juice that I've gotten to experience in our relationship with my girl is because I hold myself to a higher standard than she could ever expect of me. And I think when your standard and focus is about yourself instead of about your partner, about how do I show up more, what am I here to give? In the beginning of a relationship, people's whole focus is how do I light them up? I want to do anything that lights them up. And it makes you feel incredible to light your partner up. And you know, a relationship is aging, not based on years, but based on when you could be with somebody a week. But if you start thinking about, well, what are they doing for me? And I'm doing it all. And you start measuring what you're giving instead of just giving from your heart and your soul, things drop off. So maybe this week is a chance for you to really create some relationship breakthroughs. And we think that takes three things, any kind of breakthrough. Sometimes it's having the right strategy. Because frankly, you know, as a guy, we say and do things that girls interpret very differently. They come up with very different meanings, and vice versa. You know, for men, for example, problems are not things you talk about. Problems are things you solve right now, or you make them small and move on. For ladies, sharing that problem, digging in, feeling it, not solving it, understanding it.
Understanding, gentlemen, is such a key piece. We are such different species. And I think having an understanding of each other and each other's needs and knowing that we are not the same. You know, our own reality of how we think and feel and process life isn't the same for your partner. So having that, not just understanding, but truthfully appreciation for how they view and experience the world is a game changer. There's so many things in our relationship and it's like, oh my goodness, you know what? It's not me, because sometimes you take things personally. It's just knowing that that's how they process reality and process life.
When they say that, it's not men are for Mars, women are for Venus. John Gray's a friend of mine. That's a wonderful approach, but all men have a feminine side and a masculine side. All women have a feminine side and a masculine side. It's really just understanding how this species, they're different species, interpret the world. And if you don't understand the strategy of how to interpret that, you'll be upset or angry or frustrated. So perhaps this week, and you know, you'll be able to dig in and get some new understandings that'll take some of the weight off and make you laugh at stuff that you used to get upset about. It's one thing to have strategies to know how to fix things, but oftentimes you don't apply what you know because you got a story about your relationship, a story about your partner. They don't really care. You know, you've got frustrations or pains or disappointments that got interpreted in the past, And now you're generalizing about your partner. And whenever we generalize about anybody, we do them a disservice and ourselves as well. So maybe this week during Valentine's Week is maybe discover what are the empowering stories about your relationship. If you ask a couple, how did you meet? And they talk about it with such passion and excitement, you know the relationship's still alive. If they go, yeah, we met, this is what happened and we bumped into each other, there's no energy for it. Even the story of how you met affects you.
It does.
So part of this week you might want to take a look at the stories that you tell about your partner to yourself, to your friends, to your partner, because we start to believe our stories. And I always tell people, you want to change your life, change your story. Divorce the story of how your partner's not enough, or you'll never find the partner you want if you're single, or the good ones are gone. Whatever's stopping you from getting what you want in a relationship, there's a story about it. If you can uncover it, you can get rid of it. Divorce your story and marry the truth. The truth is always something that will empower you much more.
And that truth of that magnification, remembering, it's like one of the gifts that we give each other, and especially actually at a time like this, like Valentine's Week, is actually reliving those moments, reliving the magic and appreciating the magic. And it's just, I don't know, it infuses into your life rather than looking and letting those stack up for you become frustrations. And the story knowing that this man, I was born to love this man.
I love that story. And God gifted me for all that I've done with millions of people, the good I've done. This has been the gift of my life that I've gotten from that. I believe that's my positive karma. That's the core story I believe about this woman. And that produces a love and a commitment and a devotion to each other that gets through any of the other BS that shows up when you get caught up in the daily stresses of things.
So rewrite your story. What is your love affair, and who are you for the one that you love?
And if you're single, it's time to rewrite the story of who you are and the one that you're going to attract, because whatever we focus on, we all know, wherever energy goes, wherever focus goes, energy flows. So your story controls the energy of your life. If you think all the good ones are gone, it's self-fulfilling. If you're overweight and you aren't losing weight, the strategies are there, but you're not doing it because you go, I've tried everything. You haven't tried everything, not all the good ones are gone. And your partner who's right with you, if there was ever a passion, that passion can be brought back to life with the right strategies, but first you got to have the story that says it can. The last one real fast and we'll go is, the most important part of a relationship is the state you're in. We always call it the state of the union. What's the state of the union? If two people independent of each other are in peak states about things in their business, their life, their career, and they meet together, it's a great relationship. If they're both in kind of a so-so state, eventually the relationship's so-so. If they're both in a crappy state, pretty soon it's a crappy relationship. What people want is when we meet somebody, we get attracted to them because they change our state, they change the way we feel, and we get excited and want to be with them. Are you putting yourself in a state when you're with the partner in your life or the person you want to attract? Are you really in the state that would make them want to be with you like they would be in the beginning? Most people are noticing what the other person isn't doing, but the most important thing is you're going to interpret your partner in really negative ways when you're in a lousy state. You ever been mad at somebody about something and you found out later on you were wrong? It was just the state you're in. So we have so many tools for changing state, and we work at it.
We do, and I'm giggling about this one because state, my husband always says I'm the most loving human being on the planet until I don't eat, then he calls me Godzilla. So from from a state perspective, be aware, sometimes truthfully, we will even, if there's a stacking or we have a frustration, we will literally, it's like, you know what, we need to change our state. We'll go drink some water, we'll eat something, just taking a breath from what's happening in that moment, so it allows your physiology to change, so you're not like bringing that to the table in that moment, because that can just cause, if you're both frustrated and those two frustrations are just going together, it's like, literally, we will, physically just, it's like, let's do something physical. We'll jump in the pool. It sounds crazy, but it actually, you come out and you feel different, and feeling different, your physiology, you experience a different reality.
When you're stuck in a relationship, you're stuck because you're stuck in a state. People get stuck in the future, or the future's not the way they want it to be in their head, or something had happened in the past. The best thing is to change something in the present. Physically change it, drink some water, have something to eat, jump in the river, do whatever you got to do, because in the right state, you and I both know if there's any love there, you will transform and come back and solve the problem. But in the wrong state, good people, the right people in the wrong state will mess up the relationship. So if you want to have a breakthrough, this week, look at some of the strategies for understanding, appreciating, and changing. Look at what triggers you to feel attracted, because this week's not just about love, it's love and passion. Because if all you have is love, you have a friendship. Nothing wrong with that, but If you have an intimate relationship, then there's passion there. So what are the strategies to trigger that? The masculine and feminine energy, the dance of it. Take a look at some of those this week. Take a look at this week as your own story. Take a look at your state. And we're going to introduce some little videos this week for you. It's just our gift to you. And then at some point, there'll be an offering for you to continue your education with us. We have our Ultimate Relationship Program, and they'll have some kind of special offer for you. And that's, if you want to continue this journey with us and really expand things, please take advantage of that. But the first thing we want to do in the next day or two, and maybe they'll put it on this video, I don't know how they'll do it, is what we call the 8 to be great, which is, what are the laws of love and lust? They're different, love and passion. What makes you love somebody doesn't always make you excited by them. Sometimes you just want to snuggle. What makes you excited doesn't always bring out love. How do you trigger both of these in the same relationship?
And ignite that. Ignite that passion, ignite that love, ignite that attraction. And you can turn on in an instant. And that's what we really share. You know, for us, we are each other's best friends. I mean, there's literally, we share everything together. And yet, to have that and to have that intimacy alive, to have that and to have that level of attraction, that's where it's a game changer. It's a game changer of a level of love and excitement and anticipation to really share your life together.
And fun.
And fun. Like we can call each other Godzilla and we just roll with it.
Godzilla. I'm never intense. What are you talking about?
He's a cupcake.
Anyway, I'm a total cupcake. Happy Valentine's Week.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy some of the stuff we're sending you. We hope it's helpful for you. We know it will be if you take the time, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet you in person someday at an event, or hear the story of how you've changed your life and changed your relationship. Either created the one you really want or taken the one that you're in to a new level. God bless to you. Happy relationship, and if you don't deal with them, they start to break down, damage, and in some cases actually destroy or kill a relationship. And they're little things, but they add up really quickly. So let's get right to it. The first one is loss of attraction. Now, you think about attraction, a lot of people say, well, that's not the basis of a relationship. But when you look at a relationship and you're talking about an intimate relationship, the only difference between an intimate relationship and a friendship is intimacy. And when that loss of attraction is there, when that energy, where you don't feel desired isn't there, it starts to affect the relationship.
And a lot of times it isn't what you think it is. You know, sometimes we as women, we're so hard on ourselves. You think it's the way you look, or you might think it's your body, or you might think it's something else. With Tony and I, sometimes, you know, if there's something going on in our life, and maybe I'll feel more tension, and, you know, I'm in more of a masculine mode and from a business perspective, and it's amazing. In a moment, that polarity can shift. In a moment, and vice versa on Tone's side as well. It's just unbelievable how that shift can happen in a moment. And on the other side of it, it can happen in a moment just to switch that fire back and that light switch back on.
That's absolutely right.
The chemistry is instant.
Instantaneous. I mean, it's like magic. Or a woman who goes from being tight and controlling everything,
more masculine,
to letting go and being truly free, and then her radiance flows. So attraction can change in seconds. What really is important, though, is if you consistently feel like there's a loss of attraction in the relationship, it changes your filter on each other's behaviors.
It does.
And it goes to the second stressor now. All of a sudden, with a loss of attraction, there's an increase in irritation, there's irritation. Yeah. People start to get very often where they get emotionally stacked, like little things start to bug them. And in worst case, they get to stonewalling. So we'll give you an example. There's 4 R's that we talk about that actually this came out of a couple of our friends who are both relationship experts who got divorced, but they learned from that experience, and they both were trying to figure out what destroyed their relationship. And they were sharing with us, and they said, well, the first thing is there's that initial resistance, you know, where somebody says something or somebody does something, your partner does it, and you're like, oh, you know, wish they wouldn't do that, but you don't say anything because you know, it's not appropriate to say anything. It's not that big a deal. But if you don't deal with the resistance level...
And we always call it speaking the unspokens. If you don't speak the unspokens and you don't speak that resistance, then that resistance becomes the next, and it becomes a little bit deeper, which is the resentment. And all of these unspokens and the anchors and the stackings, they all go deeper.
Yeah, and what happens when it starts to become a resentment, the way you kind of know that is you start going, why does he or why does she always have to tell that story? Or, you know, why is he always late or she always late? And why do we have to go through this? But you still don't necessarily say much at that stage.
It's true, and you feel an emotion sometimes. You just wake up in the morning and feel a charge, and you don't even know where it came from.
And it's just that built up, what it was, resistances that you didn't deal with. And by the way, the resistances may have just been your stuff.
Absolutely.
But the fact that you didn't come and say, gosh, honey, I know this is my stuff, but I was kind of reacting to this thing. It's not you, but I just want to tell you, I got to shift this, or would you help me with this? If you can just talk about it, it's different. But if you don't, that resistance turns into resentment. If that resentment isn't dealt with, it starts to show up as rejection. That's when somebody starts going, why do you always do that? Or they, you know, when you overreact to somebody, you're not reacting to this moment. You're reacting to the fact that it happened again in your mind. And so people, by the way, when you start rejecting them or being really overly harsh, they don't know why you're doing this. And so then they feel really wounded. They tend to then reject you back, and it spirals it even worse.
Crazy eight that happens, or the rejection of, you know what, I'm out of here. And, you know, in that space, there's words that are spoken that it's just, there's that emotional charge. Now we're getting in deeper, and you're getting a level of charge and honestly toxicity in the relationship that you don't want. And we so stay in our relationship just with these. Once again, it's the awareness. And once you have this awareness, you can see where you are. It's like, you know what, I'm feeling resistance right now. That you can speak that unspoken, and you don't get to level 3 and 4.
And my girl has no difficulty expressing her resistance or resentments. But the great thing, seriously, is we both tease. We have these little play fights where she'll say, you know, honey, you're driving me a little crazy right now. Or I'll do the same thing with her, but we do it not from a harsh place.
Not from a harsh, exactly.
Yeah, and then it gets the energy out, and then you don't build it up. Right. So there is a 4th level, but we're out of time. So we'll see you tomorrow. Seriously. Well, all right, well, I'll give
okay,
one more. The last piece to finish there is when you get to a place where now you're repressing. In other words, resistance grew to resentment. Resentment got yourself to a point of rejection where you're kind of being harsh with each other. Some people get tired of being harsh with each other, and they just surrender.
And they're just numb.
That's right. They go into what we call learned helplessness, where it's just like, not going to get any better. It's how it is. And those times, very often, when other couples meet them, they'll say, oh, those guys are best friends.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're neutral. They get along.
They never fight.
All is well.
You know, that's the first thing. The fact they never fight is a little clue, right?
Very benign.
Because what they do is they lower their expectation for the relationship, and they start filling up through their work or through their kids or through shopping or through something else. And what happens in that relationship is it's really dead. Or maybe it's a decent friendship, but you can be friends with anybody. Again, you can't be intimate with anybody. So our whole thing is about love and passion, not settling for one or the other, like taking it up another notch. And so breaking the pattern of these 4 R's is really critical. We're going to come back to step 3, or the 3rd, 4th, and 5th stressor, but we really will do that tomorrow. So join us back on the blog tomorrow. Till then, love with passion.
See you tomorrow.
Bye. Hey, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I'm here today to talk to the gentlemen in the group, but in case any ladies are watching today as well, here's my question for you ladies. How many of you cannot stand a man who can't make a decision? How many of you cannot stand a man who, at one point in the relationship, he's there for you, and now he doesn't feel present at all? How many can't stand a man that can't tell you the truth? And now that I've stirred up the ladies, this is really a video for men. So gentlemen, I know you know there's been women in your life who have felt in the beginning so much passion for you, and then gradually you guys seem to drift apart and you love each other, but there isn't that same aliveness, that same sensuality or sexuality or excitement together. And a lot of men think that's women that creates it. I would argue to you, gentlemen, that if you and I take responsibility and we dig underneath and we understand what the triggers are that make women turn off, then we can turn them back on, and not by some stupid technique, but by the thing that affects most women the deepest, and that is your presence. Most women are starving for a man who's present. What does present mean? It means a man who is right here with me 100% right now. His mind isn't doing 20 other things. And I know, gentlemen, it's hard to be present when a woman is talking to you and she's talking about so many things so quickly very often that don't relate, because a woman's brain has something called diffused awareness. It means they take in everything all at once. It isn't multitasking. It's literally transitioning. Not even transitioning, experiencing multiple conversations and people at one time, whereas men tend to focus on one thing at a time. And when a woman starts doing that, most men's brains click in and they try to focus on one thing they can handle, and they're no longer present. If you're in your head and you're not connected to that woman, she doesn't feel that presence. And presence is what opens a woman. Presence is what causes a woman to open to you sensually, sexually, emotionally, her heart, her soul, the whole 9 yards. Ladies, correct me if I'm wrong. There is nothing more powerful than presence when there's real love involved. So, and often women will respond to a man who doesn't even love them, but who's present for them, where they feel like there's nothing else in the world but me right now. And gentlemen, you know how to do that when you're in the zone in sports. You are so present. When you're in the zone trying to solve a problem, you were so there. And you probably were so there when you were pursuing this woman. But if you can train yourself to bring that presence back on a regular basis, you can own your woman like she's never been owned, where she will literally melt to you. And I don't think most women who are feminine would argue with what I'm sharing with you right now. If they do, they can not only talk back to the video, they can write some comments down below wherever this thing is posted. So what makes women also feel you're not present is when they feel like you're not honest. And most men are truly honest, but they just don't want to deal with what they call the shit. That must be the technical term, right? The shit they get for telling the truth because she disagrees about it. And men get worn out by words. Men were happy to resolve it, but then finally they'll just say, yeah, okay. When you say, yeah, okay, and it's not really okay with you, you're not present. So she gets even more animated. See, most women, they don't want a pleaser. They would like to be pleased, but they don't want a pleaser. A pleaser is trying to do anything they can to make things work. They feel there's no presence in that man. He has no center. He has no strength. They may like him, but it's going to be hard for them to respect him. And if she doesn't respect him, there's not going to be a lot of passion. And if him is you, that's a real problem. You and I both know, whether you're a single man who's meeting women or whether you're in an intimate relationship. So I thought maybe what I'd show you is one example of how women perceive dishonesty, or men perceive it as just leaving things out so they don't have to deal with more challenges, and how to deal with it differently. And I can tell you that verbally, but it might be better to witness it. We were in Hawaii recently, and there was a gentleman there sharing with us that he has so much difficulty just dealing with his wife. She wants him to do things like do the dishes, and he says, I run a business, and if I don't do the dishes, she doesn't feel like I love her. And I said, well, then why wouldn't you just do it at times? He goes, I do at times, but it's like every time. And so she'll ask me, am I going to do dishes? And I say yes, and then I don't do it, and then she gets mad at me, and I said, yeah, because there isn't anything authentic. I said, why don't you play your wife right now, and let's talk about whatever she's upset about, and I'll just be me, but I'll be you. In other words, I'll be myself if I was you. And you'll just watch this little video, and it's pretty simplistic. All I basically say is, no, I'm not going to do it. And he was shocked when I demonstrated this, but I didn't do it harshly. I didn't say you should go do these dishes. I don't have the delusion that that's the woman's job. I just said I'm not going to do it. This is the higher priority, but I also don't think it should be your problem, and I'm committed to working out a solution, but I'm not going to do this. And there's some things that you probably don't want to do. I don't want you to, let's work this out. It's coming from a place of congruency. And people can feel when you say what you mean and you mean what you say versus when you're placating. So I know this is third grade at one level, like we all know this intellectually, but knowing it intellectually and doing it is the difference between having a passionate relationship and a relationship where you're constantly accommodating each other. And accommodation doesn't produce passion. It might have a relationship where there's some friendship, but again, the only difference between a friendship and an intimate relationship is intimacy. And real exciting intimacy is when people feel your presence. Feeling dishonesty will take it away. So watch this quick little video, real simple, and see what you get out of it, gentlemen. And think about if you might use that same sense of presence that's already inside you, that you use in business or sports with that woman, and not let the past wear it out. You might be surprised. Women very often, when they feel that strength, it excites them to see you have a standard and you're not going to be swayed. Take it out and maybe show this even to a woman in your life and see if she agrees. She might say, Tony Robbins is so full of it, that's a bunch of crap. My bet is she'll say, yeah, smack you on the shoulder. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Be present with me. And instead of saying, well, I'm sorry, I'll do better, just deliver it. Maybe this week is a time, Valentine's week, a time for you to find your own center. The way you do in business, the way you do, we have a purpose. Do that with a woman in your life, the game will change.